go. I lost Missy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Oh, there
I'm
you are. Okay.
I'm here. We talked about popping in and out. I had a moment of invisibility, but it's Palm Sunday. It feels like a Hosanna day, Hosanna in the highest. It's always lovely to connect with everybody. And so sit back and have your cup of coffee, cup of tea, and I want to welcome, especially if we have any newcomers today, you are so welcome. And we hope you come back. It's a wonderful community here. We were talking earlier about community, how it's based on communion, and how we connect heart to heart. So we welcome you back every week. Come touch hearts with us. So let's go ahead and, oh, before we go into our meditation, yes, what year is this? This is the year of manifestation. And we have 3 grand ideas today, or this month of March. Every idea produces an effect. Our thoughts are alive and active, aren't they? They've been all month. And divine intelligence expresses through me. And taking those thoughts, let me ask Patty Hummel to honor us with some of her gorgeous music as we sit back, relax, take a breath, and take that Hosanna feeling into meditation, into our heart space with us.
Thank you, Missy. I love that idea of Hosanna feeling. So let's settle back and let's return to the place of our soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Die, 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 return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Die, 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 return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are, return to where you are, return to what you are, where you're born and reborn again. Return again.
As we return again, as our soul rests within that spark of God within us, we spiral out into the dewiness of the world, and we return once more into the heart space, into that grand and magnificent Hosanna light within us all. And we allow that return to the God space within to bless the body temple, so that as we walk out and around and wherever we move and we have our beingness, we can radiate this return to source that is with us, for us, and as us now into eternity. And so be it, And so we let it be so. And so it is. That was such lovely music. Thank you so much, Patty. Reverend Jenny Evans, we'd like to turn the mic over to you for a spiritual thought.
Okay. My spiritual thought this morning is based on the phrase divine intelligence expresses through me. Ernest Holmes says that divine intelligence or absolute intelligence is synonymous with God, spirit, source, reality, life, and truth, and I'm sure many others. But because I'm so easily distracted by separation, I just need to add for my own sake that divine intelligence, God, source, spirit, life, and truth expresses through me, as me, because it is me, because it's all of us, it's everywhere present. Many years ago in Emerson, in a book I have, Emerson's Essays, which is stored away in storage at the moment, I read a quote from who I think is Muhammad Ali, not the boxer, but actually the brother-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. And I carried this quote in my wallet for decades, since the 80s, since I first read it. And it has given me great comfort throughout all these years. And the quote says, "Thy portion of life is seeking after thee. Therefore, be at rest from seeking after it." As I've been reading the Book of Freedom by Paul Selig, I came across a message that I felt was, it jumped off the page at me personally, that synchronized beautifully with my old quote. He says, our eternal self, our true self, realizes itself through the expression of the path that the soul has taken, and that is this life lived. Life itself calls what it requires for that realization. And so what we have chosen to align to and embody, we call these requirements to us to complete our missions. He goes on to say that we grow in spirit and in understanding through every encounter that we have. There is nothing on this plane that can be experienced that is not spiritual. Our true identity, our divine self, knows this to be true, but the smaller self, the one that we're working through in order to have those realizations, the one that separates, the one that's afraid, the one that doubts, it still thinks it needs a manual of instruction to learn how to be spiritual. So it's like it needs a how-to manual that it carries around with it with a list of benefits and perks that go with it. So learning to be spiritual, he says, is not something we need to seek, but rather own what we are and we're in, and it is us, and it expresses through us as us. The reason that I shared this particular these quotes this morning is because after the events of my move and all of the changes that I have had this last year, I'm sort of in a state of watching what God has in store for me next. Where would he have me go? Who would we have me serve? And I have to say, a couple of weeks ago, I had some kind of little virus or something. I felt really very crummy for about 10 days, which got me on the path of doing some cleansing and dietary changes and different things that I needed to do. And I'm feeling a lot better. But what I was nervous and doubting about, which is a tendency that I tend to do, is because I'm in this animal communication course, is where will I find the additional cases that I need to complete the course and get my certificate? And as soon as I started feeling better, I got 5 calls, and so it reminds me not to doubt. It reminds me that what I have to offer is put out a beacon of light, and people see it and they respond to it, and here they call me, and it is as it's supposed to be. But the other thing that I wanted to share in terms of how spirit works through us is that I got a phone call yesterday from my cousin in Texas. And I have to say, I have struggled a bit with her because she's still very much in her wound. She's still very much a victim as to what happened. She was molested by my uncle when she was very young. Her mother did not step in to try to protect her, blah, blah, blah. And so as I worked through with this one more time, I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. And I've said the same thing over and over and over as a result of my own healing work and the things that I've done and the therapy I've had. But that I said, what it turns out is that you don't feel lovable because you continue to go to the dry well for a drink. You continue to seek to be loved by people who don't feel lovable and don't have it to give. It's not that they aren't. It's not that divine love is not expressing through them. It's just this particular journey, they have this packet of stuff that they're trying to learn and what the answers you're looking for within. So I asked her, do you believe in God? And she said, no, I have trouble with that. And I said, well, as an animal communicator, I said, do you love your dog? And she said, more than anything else in the world. And I said, and do you believe that that dog loves you? Absolutely. And I said, well, that dog is a form of spirit looking out of its eyes to you. There is your source of love that you need. You feel it. You exchange this love for this from this little four-legged being. So start there. I said, I'm going to give you an assignment that I want you to sit down this afternoon and design the God of your choice, a loving, sweet, soft, snuggly little source that you can surrender this horrible wound to and honor and hold sacred that the people that have been in your life that have provided these lessons, that the path is sacred, but you can choose to change today. You can change the way you think. You can have the God of your understanding in your life, and you can turn this around and lay it down and not carry it anymore. And I mean, it was a real Helen Keller moment. I mean, I was absolutely stunned because after 10 years of going over this stuff and being really quite impatient with her, um, not too long ago, I got very upset with her about it because I was so tired of hearing it. For the first time, it was like she heard me. And she goes, how do you know this stuff? And I'm like, well, I've been working on it for 40 years. I hope I know a couple of things by now. But all I can say is, wow, that I feel so privileged and honored that when she was seeking out a loving voice to be vulnerable with, that I was the person she called. And that somehow spirit worked through me and her in order for her to have a little light glimmer in the distance that there's hope. Thank you.
Thank you for being that light and that glimmer of hope, Jenny. It's
You're welcome.
something that is nice to know, that something that we've always known about you. We see the light in you and we honor that light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patty Hummel, would you honor us with some more of your delightful music?
I'm unmuted now. Okay. Thank you, Jenny. That was wonderful. I understand that one. I get frustrated with some family members, but I'm sure we all do. So this is a Delbert McClinton song I want to do for you. And I wish I had a guitar or ukulele here to do, but I'm just going to do it a cappella. It's called Rosie. Whoa, hearts get broken every day. You can't let that get in your way. Soon enough, those tears will fade and everything will be rosy. Sometimes life gets so absurd. The trick is learning how to handle the curve. Get a grip don't lose your nerve, and everything will be rosy. There's gonna be hard time, good time all along the way. It ain't really none of my business, but I wanna tell you about it anyway. Yeah, don't have the answer, nobody's fool. You gotta find a way to lose them blues. Oh, I'm gonna tell you about it anyway, 'cause everything will be rosy. Ba 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 da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ba do 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 do. Ba da 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 da. Gonna be hard time, good time all along the way. Hey, I know it ain't none of my business, but I'm gonna tell you about it anyway. Don't have the answer, nobody's fool. You gotta find a way to lose your blues. Listen up, I got news for you. Everything can be rosy, change your thinking. Everything can be rosy, change your mind. Everything can be rosy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've never heard that one, so that's nice. When I saw your roses, as you know, I was thinking everything's coming up roses, and that's what was singing me this morning. So thank you for everything's coming up rosy. And now for the rosy cheeks of Joe Bull, our wonderful speaker for today.
There I am. My rosy cheeks. I didn't know I had rosy cheeks. Thank you very much, Missy. Thank you all for what you're doing today in service. Jenny, I loved your spiritual thought. I thought it was really, it was personable and presentable to all of us to remind us that we can help each other along the way as we help ourselves too. This morning, I want to talk to you about every idea or cause produces an effect. And what does cause and effect mean? Well, a cause is something that produces an event or condition, and an effect is what results from that event or condition or statements made. We can pretty much know and determine some causes and the effects that come from them. A common cold is considered a cause, and we pretty much know the effects that come with that: the runny nose, the coughing, the wheeziness. Some of you know this, some of you have made statements too. Years ago, I had someone tell me they didn't get colds anymore because they stopped believing in them. And I haven't had a cold and I don't know when. So it really does. You can really establish your own cause and effect, I think. Simple examples of cause and effect. A cause, we received, say, 7 inches of rain in 4 hours. Well, the effect would be the underpass is going to flood. But on day-to-day situations, we sometimes cause something to happen, an idea, not realizing that there is an effect from that direct action. But there truly is an effect to everything we do, everything we say. We just sometimes don't think in these terms about effects. The first thing I think we need to do when we're thinking of ideas that produce an effect is to trust ourselves. Trust in ourselves, trust in being right and self-reliant, knowing that you are a good decision maker. When I am not trusting myself to make good decisions, I can judge another person and wrongly maybe not even trust them. But that's when I need to check in within. I know that. Everything we do or say affects other people and things. If I find myself throwing stones at another person, it's because I'm not right within me. It's not someone else's fault that I may be having a bad moment during a day. We are a product of our own thoughts. We can't get away from ourselves. So how about we just be kind to ourselves, and then we can be kind with others as well. This action, whatever it may be, good or not so good, ripples outward toward others. We could start our day connecting with our highest source, that being God or Spirit, or however you address God, and whatever name you want to use for God, as being the highest consciousness level. We can start out our day each day. Throughout our day, we can continue to look back and sit, meditate, and talk with our greatest source. If we find ourselves angry, upset, or feeling negative thoughts, let's hit the pause button. I made myself a pause button a long time ago, and I push that thing once in a while when I'm thinking of negative thoughts or being angry about something that really I don't need to be angry about. It's a matter of choice, isn't it? Everything, all is God, and we are going with our source, or we are not. And we know that when we're not. If we really want to maintain being kind, supportive, etc., let's tune into ourselves, especially our emotional self. That's when you know you got something going. Imagine that every thought we have, every word we utter, every deed of ours brings some benefit to the community and perhaps to the entire world. That rippling effect can travel very, very far. For me, the purpose of life is self-discovery. Everyone is free to reach their highest potential in this life, and we define it as we define it to be. However you define life to be, that's what we do. If we are wanting clarity, fairness, and accountability, it must begin with you and me. That rippling effect from our ideas is very, very much alive. We can see things in two basic ways, in the positive and in the negative. If we expect negative things to be a part of ourselves, then we will live up to that. If we look for negative things, then that is what we will find more of. Have you felt this? Have you demonstrated this in your life? I know I have. We are creating more of the same result. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Did you know that? I think you do. I didn't realize this as a child. When someone of adult authority or even one of my peers put me down about something, I accepted it. They said, well, you're a loser. Then I just said, okay, well, then I'm a loser. And I did not realize that I don't have to accept that for myself. It took me a long time to get past that. The effects we cause or receive are ours to decide what we will believe and accept. We can allow others to make us feel inferior, like I said, because we bought into it. To help us have the ability to produce great effects, I believe we must first be happy within ourselves. As in now, right now, forward. We do have a tendency to say, when this is done in the near future, I will be happy and satisfied, which means we're not living in the now moment if we're not doing today what it is we want to do. But this means we are not fully living. As human beings, Ralph Waldo Emerson said in his essays of self-reliance, as human beings, we seem to be looking forward to something in the near future, which means we're not living in the now moment. We tend to revert our thoughts on the past, an event or incident of the past. We can also get caught up on our tippy toes trying to look ahead to our future. This again means we cannot be happy and content until we live in the present moment right now. If we allow ourselves to live thinking of the past or future, our ideas produce a very weak or negative rippling effect. If I'm not in a good place with myself, Luana can feel that because she lives with me, she knows me, and she'll just flat out ask me, what's going on with you? And then that's when I start checking within myself and realizing that I'm not living how I want to live in that moment. Emerson goes on to say, if we live truly, we shall see truly. He also says that nature teaches us by its own accord to live in the now moment, for nature can be already a great teacher for us. This is all alive today in the forest. Ginny talks about animals a lot, and others of you too. You can sit, and when I'm taking my walks through the forest area, if I stop and just sit for a moment, I can see the forest come alive. And I'm watching all of these animals running around doing their thing. And they're doing it in the now moment. They're not thinking about what they want to do tomorrow or what they're doing yesterday. They're talking about living in the now, taking care of and doing whatever it is they really want to do at the moment. And we can learn from our animals this way because they live in the now moment, don't they? And by the way, I'm always amazed at squirrels. I see a squirrel running around my backyard and he'll be looking around and he'll dig up ground area and find an almond or something that he buried a year ago and knows right where he put it. I put something down for 5 minutes, I can't find it again, but squirrels seem to be able to do that. I can learn from them as well. By watching nature care for itself daily, it demonstrates to us that we too can live in the moment of now and be happy now. Then we become present and at the peace where our thoughts, our ideas produce a positive effect outward. Emma Thompson is a licensed counselor and psychologist, and she said, our ideas as a ripple outward affect others along with our four-legged animals. Most of the time, we don't realize that we are causing effects toward others. And Irvin Yalom is an American psychiatrist, and he said, our influence and thoughts, each of us does this, can influence others for years, even for generations. And I think he's right about that. Like I said, when I was a child, I was told that I was not very good at many things. And I bought into that. And it took me a long time to stop buying into that kind of thought about myself, to lift my own self-esteem. My nose is leaking. Must be spring. Every action we take, every encounter we have with someone will in some way change them and us. Thus, this will be a rippling effect outward toward all others. So with that said, let our thoughts and words be positive and fruitful in statements and by our own actions. Maya Angelou was a poet and activist. And she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said and even what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I think there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, said, the spirit of intelligence, that being God, in order to do something for us, must do something through us. And what it is to do must first become a part of our mentality before it can become an individual experience. Our mentalities are but the spirit working through us as individuals. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, effect is what follows cause. The effect did not make itself, as it must have power back of it causing it to be. In my interpretation, cause are our thoughts, desires, and expectations. My further reasoning based on my studies is that we want a certain result or effect. We need to be clear in our thoughts and our ideas and desires, and also expect them to happen. Expectancy. Expect this to happen. Ernest Holmes went on to say, so in order to create the effect we want, we must consciously think of and meditate on the perfect desired outcome. The old saying, if it's to be, it's up to me, I think it still holds true. How we're going to make our day. What kind of day are we going to have? Depends on how we start, right? If we don't start well, we can always stop, meditate, pray up, start again. That's the beauty of these teachings. That's the beauty of knowing God and the power we have. That which the mind gives birth to is an every idea is bound to produce an effect, resulting exactly like the idea or the cause. Nothing moves but the mind, and we are dealing with the mind, that is the mover, the creator of all things we manifest. The cause of all that is or is to be. I'm going to repeat something I said earlier. I think it's a key point. Imagine that every thought we have, every word we utter, every deed of ours brings some benefit to the community, to possibly the entire world. That rippling effect can travel so very far. Nothing moves but the mind, and we are dealing with the mind that is the mover, the creator, the idea or cause of all that is to be. Look only for what it is that we do want. Thank you for listening, and so it is.
I have so many thoughts running through my mind. So it's like, be the change. Yeah, I be peace. Therefore, wherever you go, you can ripple out that energy of peace. I be love. Wherever you go, you can ripple that out. So you're at the center of your own force field. Thank you. Thank you for being a catalyst for a lot of contemplation today, Joe. Thank you. So now's our offertory time. Would you join me in our offertory prayer? Divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And in the chat box, I have placed where you can send your tithes to. This is one of my favorite parts because tithing and donations and what we send out, it's such a part of our gratitude, and the foundation of gratitude is grace, and we have such grace and gratitude for all of those that that support the Positive Living Center. Because of you, we're able to pay our mortgage every month, and we're able to pay the taxes and have a beautiful building that someday to go back into. But further than that, it's energy. It's the energy of God in action, and by able to be blessed, what goes out, it comes back to us, and then we can send it out again, and it comes back to us multiplied. So it's that feeling of grace and gratitude and abundance. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Announcements. The practitioner of the day is Reverend Jenny Evans, and I'm going to type her number into the chat box. It's 559-676-5032. So those that want to get hold of Jenny, please do. Our PLC annual meeting is today following the service. And yes, 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 just stay on here, and it will be following the final treatment by our Reverend Sandy today. So please stay on. All are invited because, and why? Because, you know, everybody has a part of the whole. Everybody holds that part of God information, and together we're a community, and everything that's the sparks come into that whole diamond. And so please stay on. Anybody else have anything to add that have any announcements that I don't want to miss anybody? Joe.
I just want to remind everyone that we do have a prayer team. We're always available to you. You can reach out if you want prayers for yourself or someone else. Please use that opportunity to use your prayer team to call out to, and we will provide prayers for you all week. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And I just put in the chat box the list of ministers and practitioners. So therefore, if you feel simpatico with any specific one, their name and their number is there, and you can get hold of them. I also wanted to remind those that we do have I don't know who just had their, there is a lot of noise somewhere. The Heart to Heart, the PLC outreach. This team is committed to being there to help you through any of life's transitions. So that is also in that I just put it in the chat box. So please go there for any names or numbers. If you need someone to partner with you on your journey, request prayer work. If you need help, Joe Nelson has volunteered with his truck for any needs. So please understand that PLC is a community, and Heart to Heart, you know, we get it all done. We make it all happen because the God within us just sparks the God in each of us. So
I have a kind of an announcement, but more of just a request for a little help. This is Barney.
okay, go for it.
Well, as many of you know, I've been working on environmental projects and technology for most of my adult life. And I've one of the stars seem to be aligned at this time, and we're maybe perhaps starting to do something about global climate change and caring more for the earth. And this Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I have a meeting to finance two rather large projects, at least in my terms, to convert biomass in the forest, fire danger, and biomass in agriculture by turning those items, walnut shells in that case, into hydrogen, renewable hydrogen, and biochar. And so I just was hoping that perhaps y'all could kind of put a good thought in there for my Tuesday meetings. We've been working on this project ever since last year in spring. And it does seem that we have two projects that can go and will contribute to the health of our planet. And ultimately, the health of the planet contributes to our own personal health and well-being. So that's all. I'm just looking for a little positive, good vibes.
Okay, thank you. We know divine order is working through that project and your projects right now, bringing perfect outpicturing in this moment now. So be it, and so we let it be so, Bernard.
Thank you.
Any other, Angie?
This is Stacy. And I wanted to let you guys know that several of us have been meeting in a book club since the Black Lives Matter started. And it's all about social justice and racial healing. And we just occurred to me that, you know, with Susan Madden as our leader, and Laura, Michelle, John, Joyce, Jenny, and Amanda are all there with me, that we should tell you guys about it. So we are about to start our next book, which is called My Grandmother's Hands. And it's really interesting because it has to do with actually personal healing of racial trauma. I'll just read a little bit. The body is where our instincts reside and where we fight, flee, or freeze. My grandmother's hands is a call to action for Americans to recognize that racism is not only about the head, but also about the body. So, and there's exercises and all kinds of cool stuff in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat, or you can find me on Facebook, and we'd love to offer this up as an opportunity for more people to come get involved. This just happens to be this month's book. We meet on the third Monday of every month at 5:30 Pacific time. Just awesome people, awesome reading, great discussions.
You had something?
No, I was just waving at Barney.
Oh.
I wanted him to know that I was listening to him.
Okie dokie. Anybody else have something? Okay, then let's go ahead. Oh, and next week's speaker is the Reverend Sandy West. And let's go ahead and say our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Sandy, can you give the closing treatment, please?
We come together today in community. Know the importance of what we have here. Know the importance of God working through us, flowing through us, the difference it makes in this world. The smiles that we can bring, the love that we bring, the caring that we bring, the community that we bring are all needed. No matter where we are or what we're doing, we are needed. It's important that we are alive at this time. It is important that we are at our best this time. It is important that we contribute to helping this world move through everything it's going through. So know that each and every one of us matters. And as we go out into the world this week, take that with you. As you look at everybody, know that they matter. Instead of being irritated at how they act, know that they matter. Instead of getting upset with the traffic or what's going on, know it all matters. For some reason, it matters. And as you allow it to be, you'll see the outpicturing around you of peace. The peace that flows past all understanding, that soothes us and loves us. Accept this peace into your heart and say with me, please, and so it is. Okay, I am going to unmute everybody. So